All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Me here talking about real music and real money problems and spiritual things and all kinds of stuff in this video. And of course, doing it real time for a couple of real people out there just like you and just like me. All right, so I got this in the mail yesterday. Brand new album from Jeff Larson. Actually, it's been out for a little while. It's called Adobe Home. And if you like sort of laid back California esque music, Jeff Larson is the guy to go and listen to. He hangs out with Jerry Beckley from the band America. I'm pretty sure he's written songs for America, and Jeff is just really good. Top notch songwriter, uh, decent singer, a decent guitar player. I don't know how many years ago this would probably be a big deal, but Jeff doesn't release albums every other year. So when he does put something out, I tend to listen to it. I listen to all his other stuff, and it's fantastic, but first time I've ever showcased it on the show. So Jeff Larson, Adobe Home, go ahead and listen to it. You might actually feel good. You might feel better. And really, in my life, that's my goal right now. I've turned the volume down because the volume is so loud in the world right now. So this story, which I broke this morning about Neal Schon and his apparent excessive spending, according to a lawsuit filed by Jonathan Cain, made me start to think, so what's up with Neal Schon? Why the spending problem? What's up with his wife? Why the paranoia, right? One of the accusations is that he accuses people of stealing after he gets accused of running up the credit card. So it's this back and forth like, hey, Neal, you can't spend all this money. And he comes back with, well, what about all the stuff you're stealing? Or no, you guys are the problem, right? It's that whole, I don't know, for lack of a better term, gaslighting that goes on in the world. It's opposite day. I turn on the news and it's opposite day every day. It's news by omission. Well, you left out the part about, the private jets and how we can't pay our bills and how we can't pay the vendors and so forth. And it's causing real financial stress here. And look, these are all allegations. So nothing is etched in stone here. But for like 3 or 4 years now, this has been a thing. And I just started to think, so what's going on? First thing I thought of is, as Mr. Ordinary Guy here, I can't relate to some of these problems. Like, hey, $1,500 a night. Someone said, Dave, we'll send you to the concert and we'll put you up at a hotel. It's a $1,500 room. You and your wife, you can go and see whatever band you want to. I'd be like, no, that's too much. That's crazy. I don't need that. That's what I would say. I don't need that. Something like $200-300 a night. That's fine. No, $1,500. We insist. Imagine saying, $1,500 is good, but I want to blow past that. I want to do like $3,000 a night. And I want to buy the most expensive stuff and have it sent to the room. How do you do that? I mean, it's like when Eddie Murphy, I think it was Beverly Hills Cop 2, ended up staying at a hotel, or maybe the first one, and he couldn't afford it, but he just pretended that he could. And then the police department paid the bill at the end of it, but he had no way to pay that. What are you doing? That would be me. Like, I shouldn't be here, but I'm going to pretend that, I belong here. And these are problems that most people don't understand. Fans of this band, fans of any band, tend to be a lot of working class people, self-made people, but people who are on a budget most of the time or learned how to put some money away. So that's why I'm thinking to myself, does Neal have like a terminal illness that we don't know about? Now, I have no proof of that, but this kind of, spending like a drunken sailor behavior, like, hey, I don't have much time left, so might as well enjoy the time I have left, and I won't have to worry about paying anybody because I won't be here. That would be an attitude that a lot of people would take. Like, yeah, I'm spending my kids' inheritance, my ex-wife's inheritance, or whoever. Um, they shouldn't get it. And just for spite, I'm going to spend everything. And so when I'm gone and they go searching around thinking, I'm going to get some money, and they find out there's no money in the vault, there's nothing in there. So that's just a theory I have. Could be wrong, right? So people are out to get him. That's another thing that seems to be a prevalent theme. Like, hey, you're accusing me, but yet you're the one that's the bad guy. You're the one that's stealing from the company, not me. And again, it's more insane gaslighting where you're like, hey, well, I've got the paperwork right here. These are the bills from the American Express card. You show somebody the receipts and there's not much they can do about it other than to say, no, that's not true, or you're doing worse than me. But if you've got the receipts in a court, they're going to say, well, here's the spending. Here's where you made the charge on the card. You went to this hotel and you spent $10,000, and they have a list of things that you purchased. That's in black and white. Any court is just going to say, no, sorry, he's right. Your spending is excessive, and it's more money than your company is taking in. Imagine making like $1 million a gig or whatever these guys are making on tour. I'm not saying the grunts in the band are making that much money. It's way down compared to what the guys who are running the corporation are bringing in. But say you're John or Neal and you're netting probably a few $100,000 on every gig that you do, because that's really what's going to happen. And somehow you manage to spend all of that money. That's just crazy. And I'm not saying John's doing it, but allegedly Neal is doing it. So a lot of people just can't comprehend what this is. We're not on the same planet here. So he became a bit paranoid, and I noticed this with Steve Perry. And the rift between himself and Steve Perry, he said originally that the media was causing this division because they were reporting things that Perry was saying about Neal Schon, about, hey, if he wants to be my friend, but he doesn't, he just wants to work with me. He doesn't really want to be my friend. So that's what Perry was saying. And Neal was saying that the media was making that up and just putting it out there to drive a rift between the two of them. Turned out it was just Steve Perry saying stuff. And Neal finally gave that up because Perry continued to say stuff. And so Neal's like, fine, you don't want to be my friend? Then screw it, And so it took a while, but he finally decided not to keep going down that road. Apparently, someone's got to tell Neal the truth and say it over and over again. And then he finally says, you know what? This isn't worth trying to keep my narrative going, because that's what these are. These are all narratives. And some of the narratives are true and some of them are very untrue, or have maybe little bits of truth in there. The security issue there with his wife, who allegedly got attacked by somebody. I think they dismissed that entire case. They didn't have proof. Neal claimed that they erased some of the footage, security camera footage. Why would they do that ahead of time? How would they know to do that? Or maybe they did it after the fact, according to Neal. But they couldn't find the incident that he was referring to, so they dismissed the case. Again, there's a level of paranoia. There's a level of general distrust and mistrust in whoever is running the show. And now the band has a manager, and apparently the manager is in trouble too, because the manager has probably sided with common sense. The manager probably had no intention of, say, going over to John's side and saying, well, John, I'm with you because the other guy, he can't be trusted. No, I think he probably looked at the situation and said, well, wait a minute. all this money is going out and it's excessive and we have rules and we capped your hotel room and you're not staying within those limitations and thus we're going to go bankrupt. That's what's probably going to happen. I mean, is Neal trying to intentionally bankrupt Journey? That's bizarre to think about that, but there could be some truth to it. I don't know why he would do that. Um, Here's a little bit of a summary here. And I've done videos like this before where I look at these people, and sometimes it's multiple people. I'm sure Jonathan Cain is doing all right financially, right? I would assume he's doing okay. I'm assuming Arnell and the other guys in Journey are doing okay financially. When I say okay, I'm thinking better than okay. So I always say there's more to life than just this. There's way more. But these guys, I think some of them look at this as like the pinnacle, like they're not going to get any higher up than where they're at. There's no spiritual component to life. There's no worry, for instance, about helping others. I've noticed this where people say, hey, I've got to keep mine here, right here. And I'm like, how much is that? Well, it's a lot, but I'm worried I'm going to lose it. And so there are all kinds of biblical principles at work here, by the way, that would say give some of it away and some of it will come back to you. And blessings will come back to you as well. And I think you'll sleep better at night on top of that, knowing that you're not hoarding everything, because that's what it is. I mean, how many sports cars do you need? I know many of these rock stars, and they tell me about their problems, and I go, huh, so your Maserati won't start, huh? That's rough. And you're calling the mechanic, and it's going to cost $8,000 to fix it. Well, good luck with that. 8,000 for you would be financial ruin for me, and they don't see that their problems are not very big problems in the scheme of things, where a lot of people have food insecurity now. I don't really like that term, but I understand what they're saying. People worried where their next meal is coming from. That's a real thing right now. I go past food pantries all the time on my way out of town, and there's a line that goes for like 2 miles where people are just lining up to have their cars loaded up with probably some rather unhealthy food on top of it, because that's typically the food they give away. It's a bunch of crap. But it's either that or nothing, and people would rather have some food than no food. And this leads me to Jonathan Cain. Say what you want about John and his wife, Paula, and I'm not a big fan of the theology that is in that camp. But here's the deal. I believe Jonathan Cain is saved, and he leads worship at that church, and that church does missions work both locally and internationally. So that's a plus. Whether you like the preaching and teaching, you think it's helpful, you think it's more prosperity gospel in nature, and maybe even more mystical than biblical, which it probably is at times. There's still an element of the Christian faith there at work, and it's not all garbage. And here's the deal. I'd rather have somebody who at least understands those principles running a business, and that would be Jonathan Cain. I mean, if you follow what the Bible teaches about running a business, um, these guys would be set for life. They wouldn't have to worry about finances. They'd be storing it away like a squirrel, putting it away somewhere and then investing it and then getting back twofold, tenfold, 100-fold from what they put in. So I don't know what's going on though with Neal Schon. There's something more spiritual here, something that has to do with either a mental issue, and I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm not saying he's crazy. I'm just saying the way he thinks is different. It's tainted. It's been influenced by his experiences and people in his life. Maybe his current wife has exacerbated that issue. That's what I would guess. Um, if he's really sick, like he's got a terminal illness, and that would be something that I'm just speculating about. I have no proof at all, but it's behavior that somebody who was terminal might do. They might start acting this way so long as they weren't so sick that, they couldn't go out and do these things. Um, so maybe it's not a terminal illness, but the behavior reminds me of someone who is like, hey, I can't take it with me. I don't want anyone else to have it. So I'm going to spend it. Journey, though, has a problem. I mean, if this continues, I don't know how the band continues. Why go out and tour if you're not going to make any money on the tour because one of the members is literally spending all the money? Why would you go back out on tour? That's crazy. And so, how are they going to make money in the future? They're not selling albums. The touring is what sustains these classic rock bands, and Journey still has a future. I don't know if it's a long-term future, but at least maybe another 3 or 4 years, I would say, without it getting, embarrassing. I'm thinking they could probably, most they could go is like 5 more years. And I'm thinking they probably won't go that long, especially with all of the turmoil between John and Neal. And mostly based on what I'm reading here, it's mostly because of Neal. And maybe John is guilty of not responding in a way that Neal would like. I don't know. I'm not there. People are getting fired and then rehired. This side here likes the person, the other side doesn't. So those are things that in an organization that is functioning properly, there would be communications between those two guys. They would say, hey, so and so is doing a crappy job at the merch table. They're not suggesting the Journey tumbler along with the Journey t-shirt, the Journey keychain, and whatever else, the new Journey CD. They need to do a better job of upselling, and so we've decided to terminate. And the other guy says, yeah, that's good. We can find someone who loves our music, loves our products, and will be better at that job. You'd have communication, but you have apparently no communication between these two guys. They communicate by firing people and then rehiring them. That's the way and this is sad because it means that there's literally, other than the on-stage stuff, there's probably no conversations that occur, like in a big way. Like these guys don't sit down and eat dinner together. They don't do that. I don't think they even like each other. So I'm pretty sure they don't like each other. The other guys in the band, I think they're just like, yeah, we're happy we're along for this ride, and we hope this ride doesn't end. But I think they know that eventually this is going to stop, and it might stop sooner than later. This could be the last tour. We don't know. I never say never though with Journey, because the money is so good that maybe Kane can find a way to insulate his own finances from the reckless spending that goes on. Maybe, but maybe not. I mean, it all goes on the same ledger, right? If you're spending money, that comes out of the Journey account, and eventually everybody is going to suffer for it. So I would say cash those checks early and hope for the best. Hope that maybe Neal Schon comes to his senses and realizes I need to spend less, because this does not look good for him. The reason it doesn't look good for him is because, okay, 2 years ago, this was the accusation. It got put on the back burner, or it was resolved a little bit, but apparently, that hot plate or whatever got moved to the front of the stove again, and now it's boiling over with the same accusations. So I just don't think this is going to end well. And when this tour is over, I'm sure a lot of this stuff will just ramp up even further. And Say what you want about Jonathan Cain. I think he's kept his powder dry throughout most of this, and now he's like, I have to step in there and do this because otherwise we're not going to have a band, we're not going to have any money, and our reputation is going to be ruined. So those are my thoughts. Again, some of these guys have problems that I would like to have. And though in other philosophical statements I've heard is, things like the more you own, the more it owns you. And I think there's a lot of truth to that here in the rich rock star world. The more you own, the more it owns you. So there you have it, folks. One more quick little glimpse at this album by Jeff Larson, Adobe Home. This is good stuff. Very laid back, very chill. You can put this on and have yourself maybe an adult beverage. I don't know. If I probably these days I'm just gonna chill out with some fruit juice and maybe a shot of lemon oil or something and make it a little bit better. But that's some good music right there. Jeff Larson, Adobe Home, and available now. You can order it and it will arrive very quickly, or you can stream it. Spotify, YouTube, music, the usual places where music is available for free with maybe a few commercials or a membership. God bless everyone out there. The world is crazy. There's more to the world than just money. All right. That's what this should be about right here. This whole video, there's more to life than stuff and money. But if you live a lifestyle that is just, you're only focused on those things, you're not going to ever appreciate anything but those things. I'm thinking it's like an addiction, and it's almost impossible to get away from that.